Welcome back to the Corporate Finance Academy. Today we are going to talk about Accounts Receivable Metrics. Okay, so details of what we're going to go through. We're going to talk about some important AR concepts at the beginning. Then we're going to go through an accounts receivable landscape and what that looks like. We'll get into then three very useful metrics: days sales outstanding, accounts receivable turnover, and collections effectiveness index. Then at the end, I'll close with just a few other AR metrics and thoughts for things beyond these kind of standard, really solid metrics, but other things you want to look at and keep in mind. Okay, so if you haven't done it and you don't understand accounts receivable, we have an Accounts Receivable Explained video. There should be a link popping up that you can click on, but go check that out first. As you collect AR, it turns into cash for your business, and we know that cash is king. So let's talk about some important concepts. One is you want to understand who is paying and who isn't. You want to know how well your sales and collections team, whoever it is who's responsible for collecting, how well are they doing with collecting cash and how efficient are they? You want to know if your customers are actually being billed correctly. One reason a customer might not be paying is because they got the wrong invoice, or they received the wrong quantity, or their bill didn't match their quantity. You want to continuously review your business credit practices. So who actually is getting credit extended to them? If you're giving somebody 30-day payment terms or 60-day payment terms, you're giving them credit. Should you be? And ultimately, you want to drive the organization to collect cash and issue credit intelligently. So the landscape. You want to look, starting out, at your sales, your AR, and your past dues. Typically, you're going to look at your top customers. It might be 5, it might be 10, it might be 20. But you're going to look at something like your sales, your total AR, your current AR, and then you're going to have aging buckets. So for anything past due, past current, you're going to have the aging that shows you how past due these are. When you look at this information, you want to focus on the past due buckets. You want to look for big numbers, and you want to look for old stuff. So things that are past due in the late buckets, you want to go get those before they become bad debt, become uncollectible. And I mentioned at the beginning, but a few things to think about as you're going through the process. Aging might be driven by disputes. You may have charged them the wrong price, or charged them for the wrong quantity, or they might have received the wrong quantity, or they might have received a product that wasn't high enough quality, so they don't want to pay you. Sometimes you have an issue where a customer has a credit that needs to be applied, or they assume that there's some offset to the receivable that they owe you, or you might have a struggling customer. They might not actually have the cash to pay you. So now let's get into the first real metric. So we looked at the kind of receivable landscape. That gives you some information, but it doesn't really tell you how well you're doing. But one of the first things we're going to look at is days sales outstanding, or DSO. So this is a measurement of how long it takes for you, a company, to collect its receivable. And it's important. This is a measurement of time. So it's going to show you how long it takes for you to convert sales done on credit into cash. So the formula for DSO is accounts receivable divided by total credit sales times the number of days. And now you want to make sure that it's total credit sales. If you have a business where you sell stuff on cash, you do want to split out those cash sales. Now, if it's a really small number, it might be insignificant. You might not have to do it, but you want to focus on total credit sales. So now let's say we're looking at our company and it's Dunder Mifflin here, and our annual sales are $5 million. Those are our net credit sales. And our accounts receivable balance is $500,000. So your days sales outstanding calculation here is going to be $500,000 divided by the $5 million of net credit sales times 365, and that's going to give you 36.5 days. So what does that mean? Well, one of the first things is you need context. If you try to compare two businesses' DSO performance without knowing more, it's effectively a useless metric. But in general, if you have a lower DSO, that's better. If you have higher, that's worse. You also really want to know some things like, what are your average payment terms with customers? So if your average payment terms, let's say your DSO is 57. If your average payment terms are 30 days, then that looks really bad. But if your average payment terms are 55 days, then you're collecting almost everything when it's due. So, context is very powerful. You also want to look at your trending. If you look month to month, quarter to quarter, year to year, are you trending in the right direction for DSO? Another thing to always think about is you can get more granular. So you might look at your whole company, or you may look at a specific country or the DSO for a particular sales director or region or division of the company. So these are very important things where you can look at, get more granular, and learn more. So accounts receivable turnover tells you how many times can a business collect its receivables in a year. So this is really a measurement of how efficient a company is in its collection. So a really simple example, if you had an accounts receivable turnover of 4, that would mean you collect your average AR 4 times a year. The formula for this is net credit sales divided by your average AR. And your average AR would be whatever the beginning AR period you have plus your ending AR divided by 2. And now it's important to match. Your net credit sales should cover the same period as the average AR that you're evaluating. So again, we're back to our Dunder Mifflin example, $5 million net sales. January beginning AR of $500,000, which if you're looking at January beginning AR, that's really the same as the prior year's December ending AR. And then you have the current year's current year December ending AR. So beginning of the year was 500,000, end of the year was 600,000. Your average AR is 500,000 plus 600,000 divided by 2, so 550. So your formula here is 5 million divided by 550,000 equals 9.1. So you would turn your AR balance just over 9 times. Now there's another wrinkle to this where you can actually turn accounts receivable into AR turn days. So what you do is a very simple formula. You just take 365 divided by that AR turnover. 365 divided by 9.1, that's 40.2 days. So this would tell you, on average, it takes you 40.2 days to collect all credit sales. So how do you interpret it? Higher turnover typically means, or does mean, better cash management, more efficient. Lower turnover is worse cash management. And you have some of the same issues and same things you should look at, like when we talked about DSO. What are you trending? Is it going in the right direction? What are your terms? How often do you think you should be? And that's where AR turn days comes into play. If you understand your terms, you want to compare your terms to those AR turn days. But there's some issues with this. So you need to get the correct net credit sales, like we talked about. If you have a business that has a large amount of cash sales, or you're forgetting to take out any discounts or rebates, then that'll throw, and you're looking at total credit sales, even though some of it aren't expected to be paid, you're going to have a metric that's a little off. And, we didn't mention this on DSO, but it's the same thing. The credit policy dictates success. Now, what that means is if you're just extending credit terms to anybody, regardless of their financial situation and their history of paying you, then you're opening yourself up to potentially not getting paid or getting paid late, and that's going to determine whether your accounts receivable turnover is good or bad. And the other thing is, depending on the period you're measuring, you get sales teams that know what they're being measured at, and they themselves drive what I call lumpiness. So they know that they're going to be measured on ending AR. They'll let the AR number spike all month, and then they'll drive it down right before the end of the month, which can cause some churn for the business, can cause short-term cash funding needs. So that's one thing to watch out for. Okay, so our third and final main AR metric here is Collections Effectiveness Index. So what this does is it measures the percent of AR that you collect in a given period. And this is really a percentage. So it shows how effective you are getting cash from the customers. It's going to take all the cash that you actually collected as a percentage of all the cash that was available to be collected. It's going to give you a percentage, like a hit rate of how good you're doing. So how do you get to that? Well, the formula for Collections Effectiveness Index is your beginning total AR plus monthly credit sales minus ending total AR divided by beginning total AR plus monthly credit sales minus ending current AR. Now, current's a wrinkle. And that might be a little confusing. We're going to break it down here in a second. But one thing to remember, and there's a footnote there, when we look at this formula, this is for a 1 month measurement. It needs to be adjusted if you're looking at a different time period. So if you were looking for at a full quarter, that monthly credit sales number, you would take the full quarter of credit sales and divide by 3, which would give you an average monthly credit sales. So that's one thing you need to keep in mind if you do this over a different time period. So let's talk through the formula. The numerator of the formula is beginning total AR plus monthly credit sales minus ending total AR. So this number tells you how much cash was collected. So if you think through a simple example, if you had $500 of AR, that's AR outstanding that you could go collect. You have another $1,000 of sales. That's $1,500 of sales out there of cash that you could collect. But then what you subtract is the total ending receivables, because anything that's still a receivable at the end of the period is something you haven't collected. We would take that $1,500, so the $500 of AR plus the sales, it's $1,500 less your ending AR, which we'll say is $600. So I would say that $900 of cash was collected. Now the denominator is almost the same, except you're going to, instead of subtracting ending total AR, you're only going to subtract ending current AR. And this will give you how much cash could have been collected. So it's really similar math, right? It's the same, getting to $1,500, which is the total cash that could be collected. However, the thing you have to remember is some of those sales in that ending current AR, or in that ending total AR, are still current. The customer doesn't actually have to pay you yet. So to get to the how much cash could have actually been collected, you have to subtract out that current portion. So in here we'll say that that's 475 of the 600 of total ending AR. 475 is current. So if you put the whole formula together, you get the 500 plus the 500 of beginning AR, the 1,000 of sales, and then in the numerator you're subtracting out the 600 of ending total AR, and the denominator you're subtracting out the 475 of current. So those sum to 900 for the numerator. So that's the cash you collected out of a possible cash collected of 1,025, which gives you an 87.8% collection percentage. So as it says, this tells you that 87.8% of the cash that was due to be collected was collected. So how do you interpret it? Again, kind of a broken record, but you need context. Higher equals better. Trending, context, data segmentation. So what's your trend? Is your CEI getting better each month or worse? Are you going in the right direction? Context, what are your terms? What's your underwriting look like? Are you extending credit to the right customers? Data segmentation is what we talked about at the beginning. You want to look at this by salesperson, by collector, by region. The more detail you get into, you might see that your business is getting better or worse, but when you put a microscope on certain areas of the business, you see that there's some areas that are great and you're going to see some areas that are pretty bad. And that's where you want to go focus your efforts. So a few other AR metrics and just kind of general thoughts. So one thing that can drive some churn here and that you want to understand is how accurate is your invoicing. So inaccurate invoicing, customers, if they get a bad invoice, they're not going to pay it. So what you want to think about measuring is disputes. So how many customers have filed a dispute. Depending on the size of your company and where you work, some of these are very formal, where customers file a dispute, but some of them are more informal. But if you can, you measure disputes. You potentially want to look at how many invoices you reissue. So when you're reissuing an invoice, that means that you've had to correct something most likely. Some people call them credit and rebills. And then you also want to look at short pays. So some customers will not necessarily dispute it, but they'll just say, hey, I ordered 9 of these. You invoiced me for 10. I'm only paying for 9, and they won't pay their full bill. Another thing is bad debt. This is a real problem for business, and this always exists to some extent within a company. You have customers that don't pay you. It might be because they go bankrupt. It might be because they lost the invoice in the mail. It might be because they're upset with you. There's a number of reasons, but bad debt is a real problem. So you want to monitor those customers who aren't paying or you're worried about. You get out ahead of it. You got to think about changing your underwriting practices to say maybe there are customers we shouldn't be extending credit to. That would mean they need to pay cash in advance or cash on delivery. And one metric you can use for that is bad debt as a percentage of sales. And then customer reviews. So your company should have ongoing reviews of your big customers, important customers, especially to understand their health and behavior. What are their AR aging trends, good or bad? Have they had any bad debts? What's the financial status? If it's a company that you can learn a little bit about, maybe it's a public company, what does their financial status look like? So that's it. We learned a lot here. You don't necessarily need to measure all three, but find what works for you and measure it consistently. We do these metrics because we want to get better. We want to collect cash for our company. We want to be better. We'll put out a video in the future on how to drive performance. Today we just wanted to cover the metrics, but that's it. We hope it's helpful. Please subscribe, hit the like button. If you have questions or comments, feel free to leave them and we'll try to get back to you. And we'll have more videos coming out soon.